I remember getting the phone call from Corey, and he said, I have some bad news. You're not going to get your first Corey Batten single. And I said, okay. And he goes, some guy named Blake Shelton wants to record it.
Yeah, who's he?
Hi, Mark.
Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Mark.
Hey, Mark, Hallie.
The Mark Hallie Show. How did you do it and why?
But everybody, please get out of here. I'm trying to get my shit done. I'm a little bit nervous. No, I'm scared. I'm scared of Jennifer. She scares me.
Should be.
Jennifer! Hey, this is Mark Hallie, and this is the Mark Hallie Show. Today, we have a great guest, Jennifer Adan. She's done work with Blake Shelton, Tim McGraw. I wish I could list them all. I really can't. So let's just take a moment and say hi to you.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're very welcome.
I'm excited to be here. Do you want me to just go through my story about how I got to Blake? Or?
We'd love to hear how you got Blake. We'd love to hear. We're going to delve into a lot. So let's start with, that's a big name.
Yes.
Big success.
Yes.
And so let's hit it.
Okay. So I'm from San Francisco, and I moved to Nashville in 2007. And basically, I'm not very shy. So I went
Shocking.
I went to all of these different music venues to meet a bunch of people, and walked up to some people and said, hey, you're great. You're a great songwriter. I would love to work with you. And one of the guys that I went up to was Corey Batten, and he's a singer-songwriter. And I said, we should write together. Let's get together. We ended up getting together and wrote a song called She Wouldn't Be Gone. And at the time, Corey was going around with his manager trying to get a record label or trying to get a record deal at a record label. And he went to Warner, and there's an A&R guy there named Scott Hendricks. And Scott said, well, we don't want to sign you for the deal, but we would love to have this song for some guy named Blake
You're playing
Shelton.
with some big folk now. You're moving around with some people with some, with Warner. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. And so then they ended up getting the song to Blake. And I remember getting the phone call from Corey, and he said, I have some bad news. You're not going to get your first Corey Batten single. And I said, okay. And he goes, some guy named Blake Shelton wants to record it.
Yeah, who's he?
And my response was, is that the guy with the mullet? Because at the time he still had a mullet.
Yeah, he still did the mullet thing.
Yeah. And so and everything happened very quickly after that. It was like within 2 weeks he had it recorded. Within 2 weeks they were putting it out. Like, it just happened very quickly. And I had just moved to town a year prior to that. So I got this, 10-year town, they call, done in a year. And I was just scrambling to try to get my ducks in a row and figure out what I was going to do. And so got it figured out, and we could dive more into that later. But Blake was very gracious, and I got to go on a couple of dates with him while he was, not dates like dates, but like tour dates.
It's okay. Hey, if there were dates, good for you.
And so I got to go backstage, and he was playing my song because he knew this was my first cut ever. And so he was very excited for me, and very sweet guy. He's just like he is on TV, just funny, down to earth, really, really sweet. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you were nervous as hell.
Oh no.
No, you're cool.
No, I don't get I don't really get nervous. I just got excited. I was really hyped up, and I brought some of my friends with me to one of his shows, and we were backstage hanging out and watching the crowd sing along to my song. It was a wild
that must
experience.
Be really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. One thing I read about you, which I loved, is, how did you get started? It's like you did sales. You just went out and pounded it.
Yeah.
And that takes nerve, and you got to know how to, the old say, your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
How do you got to rattle the same thing off, boom, 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 and you're hoping to catch somebody.
Yeah.
So after Blake and prior to Blake, you had, I guess you're just down there chopping away.
Yeah. So I was in the Bay Area for, my whole life. And I had wanted to go to LA because it just made more sense. I was in San Francisco. LA is just south of us. It just made more sense, and it was what I wanted to do. I never really got into country music. My cousin actually, he was the one that introduced me to Garth Brooks, and my parents growing up were very eclectic with their music.
Yeah.
And
Garth Brooks, that's a name we've heard of before.
Yes.
So you meet him, and is there some collaboration, or just you get a chance to meet him?
No, I just met him. I just met him once, and he just was great. But yeah, it's just all of these inspirational people have come around me, and I was able to just kind of write into different genres of music that I was inspired by. So country and pop, rock, all of this stuff, I just wrote everything growing up. And I wanted to go to LA, but I won a contest with Jeffrey Steele, who's a huge songwriter.
No, I read about him.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea how big he was.
Yeah.
And, I was like, wow. And then you were in what's called a boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It was
like,
a songwriting boot camp.
Yeah,
and
that's a smart move.
Yeah.
Really saying, I got to up my game.
Yeah.
And with a guy who, needless to say, his game is up.
Yeah, he's had amazing songs with some really notable artists, and I was fortunate enough to go to Nashville and work with him. And he's from Los Angeles, and he's in Nashville, and he basically
where the money is.
Yeah, and he basically told me, "What are you doing in San Francisco? Get your butt out to Nashville. That's where all the songwriters are." So at the time, I was going to college and decided to drop out and move to Nashville. And within a year, got my Blake Shelton cut. And it was my first cut, my first #1, my first platinum record.
So what, you're sitting at home and you find out, oh my God, it's a #1.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, what are you doing that day?
I remember waking up, and Blake was actually the one that texted me and said, "Congratulations."
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I was in Nashville. I started crying, and I called my dad and told him, because it was his birthday.
Oh, cool.
So I said, "Dad, I got you the best present ever." And it's even getting emotional now just thinking about it. And just like, he just was so happy.
Having 5 daughters, as I think
you said.
When they call you, it's really cool, because when they cry, it's like this feeling of like, oh, I'm a dad again. Like she wants to call me and cry. And so you just wanted to do that. You wanted to hear his approval. You wanted to hear his excited voice for you.
And I definitely get my sense of humor from him. And he has had my song as his ringtone forever now. And only recently he took it off. And I was like, "Dad, why did you take the song off?" He goes, "Get another platinum record and I'll make that my ringtone." I'm like,
there we go.
Wow, okay.
Whoa. Easy, does it?
Little motivation.
And they were very musically oriented family.
Yeah. I mean, none of them knew how to play an instrument or any of that. It was just, we always had music in our lives, and we still do. My mom says that she's the reason that I'm a songwriter, because she used to play music to her belly when
I read that
she was pregnant. Yeah. And it's just growing up, it was never like kid music. It was just always, Motown or country or rock or whatever it was. It was never like, I just always felt really involved in music, and it was just in me, like in my
used
soul.
to have my daughters listen to Tom Waits.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was just, I was like, you're going to know him.
Yeah.
And then John Prine.
Yeah.
I took my one daughter, ZZ Top was in town.
Wow.
And I said to 2 of them, you're going.
That's awesome.
This is something you got to see these guys.
Yeah.
And then Broadway hits.
Yeah.
That was another one for me. Just, I don't know, trying to get their head around different stuff.
Yeah.
So, and they're going to pick their own genres as time goes on.
Right.
And then tell me a little bit more about the Jeff Steele boot camp.
Yeah.
So he invites you, or you?
So you had to submit. And at the time, he does his camps a little bit differently now. They call it the Jeffrey Steele Academy now, which they could... you could sign up and you can kind of work with him, and I think it's mostly online now. But when I did it, it was about 10 or 12 people that were picked to do this.
So you have to get selected.
You have to get selected.
Okay.
And I got selected. So it was just insane. So I got to go to Nashville for a weekend, and he really just kind of throws you into, the lion's cage, and it's just like, you know what, this is how we do the industry. So the first thing I remember we did was, or one of the first things we did was, he brought us to a #1 party. So it was this big artist. I feel like it was Rascal Flatts, and we went to this #1 party, and he was like, your homework today is you have to go and talk to 3 people.
Good for him.
And I'm like, okay.
It doesn't sound like you're the shyest girl on the block.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, you start talking. What did you end up with, like 10?
Yeah. I had like I just went and talked to everybody, and he gives you like these tips on how to like approach people, and he's like, make sure you go in and you say this, and whatever. Like he just kind of guided you through this whole networking process, which is a big part of the industry,
Sure.
is to develop relationships and to meet people and all of that. And so he was really the one that laid that foundation for me of how to like put yourself out there, because you are going to be your best spokesperson. You are going to be your best
Of course.
salesman. And that was very, like, it rang true to me that I could go out there and do this. And
Well, you get, as I did sales all my life, you get a buzz,
Yeah.
when you're, and I think if you don't, you can't be successful. I
Right.
always say that, selling is from the stomach, not the head.
yeah,
And if
gut check.
If somebody doesn't, you have to love something, like love it, in order to be good at selling it, because that projects.
Mhm.
Al, just meeting you for a few minutes, I thought, you got pop.
Yeah.
Right away. I'm like, some people you say to me, Mark, you're a pepper pot. And I'd be like, I don't know what that meant, but I'm like, that sounds like I'm up to no good or something like that,
Yeah.
which was true.
Yeah.
But anyway, you moved to Nashville. That just culturally, that must have been something else.
It was a huge culture shock when I moved there, like, especially coming from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And I just, had my opinions about it and whatever. And it's just, I'm a California girl, born and raised, and being landlocked like that was
Yeah.
just hard.
Sure.
So, and also being away from my family, because I was and am really close with my family. And
You're out on an island.
yeah, a southern island,
How old were you at that time?
23.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little girl.
Yeah.
Looking
Looking back on it now, I'm like, even seeing some of, I used to nanny and stuff, seeing some of these kids that I nannied, they're now 23, 24. And I'm like, I was that age when I moved? That's wild.
Don't they seem
Like,
so young?
Yes.
You're like, oh my God, I have 23-year-olds that worked for me, and I would be like, they come in and say, like, well, this is what I think we should do. I don't want to be rude, but I'm like, but you don't know anything.
Yeah.
You're just, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Don't bum me out.
Yeah.
But have you over that time, when aside from Blake, when would you say I felt like I'm in the game, or I'm part of the game?
Honestly, it was probably the Jeffrey Steele thing when I felt like I was a part of it. It was before Blake, and that was my aha moment was when I was doing the Jeffrey Steele boot camp, where I was like, these are my people. Like, this is where I belong, doing this
Okay,
stuff here.
okay.
And one of my biggest mentors, his name is Jason Bloom,
Okay.
and he's a big songwriter as well. He was mostly in the pop world, like Backstreet Boys, Britney
yeah.
Spears, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's a lot of money coming in there.
Yeah, and he would always say, there's no us and them. It's all us. It's all us in the industry trying to do all of this together. Like, we're trying to all achieve the same goal of success and be creative and get do what you love and put that out there. And I always had that mindset, and I never really felt like I was an outsider, actually, until I moved to Nashville, because they do have cliques there, and it's
Of course, I can't imagine.
it's it was very hard to break through those doors and to break through those barriers, especially doing it independently. Like, I never signed anywhere.
An assertive woman in the South is different than an assertive woman in the
Correct.
Northeast or the West Coast.
Correct. And I felt like in some rooms I wasn't taken seriously.
Of course.
I felt like there was a lot of, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or she's just whatever. And it's very good old boy
Oh yeah.
down there.
Oh yeah.
And somebody who's outspoken, Hispanic,
Yeah.
all of this coming into it, it was just,
Wait, you're Hispanic?
oh yeah,
I wouldn't have known that by
Yeah.
looking at you.
Mexican, Spanish, and Italian.
Mexican, Spanish, and Italian.
Yeah. So I got all the fiery.
Wow, you got it all.
Yeah, I
You
got
know,
it all.
I'm Irish. We simmer.
Yeah. We simmer.
We wait.
Yeah.
We resent you before we jump.
Yeah. It's I definitely get that side from my mom. But it's also that passion, right? That like I will not take no for an answer. This is what I
Sure.
want to do, and I'm going to go do it. And my parents really raised me to go after what you want and
Yeah.
to not settle for less, or to or just say, oh, that's good enough, or half-ass anything. It's just kind of, you have to go out there and put your best self out there and do what you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
I think
led with that.
Jennifer is saying something that anyone who's younger who is listening to this, it's hard to do it, but it doesn't mean you have to be that personality. You can
Right.
train that into yourself, even if you're generally type B. My experience is, well, yeah, you're type B. You have to live type B, but it doesn't mean you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge thing that you're stating right now.
Yeah, and especially as a woman, especially going into an industry that is very male forward. Like
Yeah.
there's more times I've noticed, especially in Nashville, where it's, white men writing for white men.
Yeah, well, it's the truth.
And it's kind of hard to kind of break into that and get yourself noticed and heard, and but that doesn't mean you can't do it, and that doesn't mean that my way of doing it is going to work for everybody
Yeah,
else.
Yeah, everybody has a way to bring it.
Yeah, and it's just being true to who you are and putting yourself out there. And if you're scared, do it scared.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a famous saying in sales is, who would want to go out at the beginning of a day and understand that probably 80 to 90% of your day is going to be filled with rejection?
Mm-hmm.
But that's your job.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do it is to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And in time, you just become, it's a little bit of a numbers game.
Yeah.
You accept that.
Yeah.
But you got to do it.
Right.
No choice. You got to do it.
And my manager tells me, even to this day, he says, you never know.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that today, or I don't want to go do this, or I don't want to talk to that person today, just you kind of lose your steam sometimes. And he's great hype man to be like, get out there and do it, because you never know.
Yeah, you go through lulls.
Yeah.
I was saying, when you're selling and you're energized, I think one of the not suffering, I won't say, but one of the challenges you have is you got an on personality, but sometimes it isn't on.
Yeah.
And I think that's just who people like us are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you're on the downside, you don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
want to get up.
hard.
You don't want to see people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like tough shit.
Yeah.
Then go home.
Yeah.
You can't play. Don't stick around.
Right.
Back to the question of the female thing. We had a woman in here who worked for all the big tech agencies, tech companies all over. And she said, the Silicon Valley is all men. And I said, well, what's that like? And she said, did you ever feel invisible?
Mm.
And I thought that was a really powerful statement as a man,
Mm-hmm.
because she'd say they just would talk and it would be like,
Mm-hmm.
you're just not there.
Yeah.
I
That's exactly how it is in some situations in Nashville, I'll say specifically. I remember being in a situation where I was writing with this big hit writer. I won't say names, but he was a big hit writer.
Paul McCartney.
And I was in the room and he just walks out of the room. And I'm sitting
Who?
there for 30 minutes. I'm like, I just assumed he went to the bathroom or went to go get coffee or something.
Long stop in the bathroom.
Yeah, gone for 30 minutes. And I'm like, what is happening? So I go outside and he's, chopping it up with some other guys that are working there. And I'm just like, hey, we gonna write? He goes, nah, let's just call it. And I'm like, what?
That's an asshole.
And I'm just like, what? And there have been so many situations that I find myself in where I'm just like, whether I feel uncomfortable being in a room with someone and, or it's just
Looked down upon.
Yeah. And just not taken seriously, or, because I'm so outgoing and I have a really big personality, like they just think like, oh God, here she is again. She has an opinion or whatever it is. And it's hard to, because you don't want to water down who you are as your personality just to make it
Well, you
more
have to
comfortable
mix
for the
that
other person.
humility.
Right.
I think, again, I'll talk about people that I think are good at what you do and I do, is that inherently there's this sort of insecure little kid in there. And so it at least in my experience, it can be quickly deflated. But at the same time, you can puff up quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But you're seeking you're seeking approval.
Yeah.
And once you have the kind of personality that is determined to get it,
Yeah.
and you become comfortable with that, then you just become better at it.
Right. Yeah. Right after my success with Blake, you have all of these other writers that are trying to do the same thing, almost like leeching onto me.
Yeah.
They're like,
Oh, yeah.
I want you to help me. Can you get me in with this person? Can you get me in with that person? Can you do this? Can you do that? Like, let's work together. Let's write together. It was just kind of like this big whirlwind of me trying to navigate through different situations. And at the time, I was on cloud nine. So I was
Sure.
like, wanting to be friends with everybody, wanting to write with everybody. And I was writing sometimes 3 times a day. So I would write like 10 to 1, 2 to 6, and then like 6 to 10 at night, like 3
Wow.
times a day with people. And I got exhausted
Oh, my
and
Lord,
burnt
yeah.
out. And, but they just kept wanting more and more and more and more and more. And if I didn't give it to them, they would get upset. And there was this one woman that sent out an email to people and basically said like, oh, basically defaming my character and saying like she's a terrible person and whatever, just because I wouldn't help her or be there for her as much as possible. And she sent it to probably like 50 different people.
Oh, that's nice.
And trying to navigate that was difficult because yes, I'm outgoing and sassy and whatever, but I'm also very sensitive.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
trying to like, okay, how am I going to approach this? How am I going to respond to this? And then all of a sudden, like, I sent an email back to people and just said, like, thank you for your support and whatever. But as soon as, the flame dies down of my success and these leeches move on to somebody else.
Yeah, they're boom, gone.
Yeah, they're gone. And my mom always said, like, it's very lonely at the top and whatever, because you have to, I really had to navigate friendships at that point and who was really in my corner. And, all these people trying to be like, oh, well, give me your money and give me your money. And I'm a manager. I can help you do this. And I'm a producer. I can help you do this. And, not having a true team around me was very difficult. And so trying to navigate all of that.
Yeah, that's hard stuff because I know, I had my own business, ran it for 20 years in the same industry for 35 years.
Mhm.
So I know my game. But you start getting people who are like, I had some success and they start saying, you're really good. Like, wow, you're great. And first off, that's not exactly what I'm internalizing. And then they want you to loan you money or get you to invest in things.
Mhm.
And you're inclined, you want to make them happy. And I remember I got to one point where I said to one guy, thank you so much for the offer to offer me a loan. The loan I want is where I don't have to give you back the money.
Mhm.
That would be a really good one.
Yeah.
You give me $1 million and I never have to give it back.
Yeah. An
There we go.
investment.
That's
Yeah.
a good one,
Yeah.
But no, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
And then they want to cling to you. Even a sales rep, they start doing well in part of the business, and then you get other sales reps who want to, obviously start saying, "Oh, that person isn't doing quite as good," backstabbing stuff,
Mhm.
which is very painful.
I will say in this industry, nothing is really smooth,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what comes naturally is the creative process for me and finding those people that you can work with that really get you, that you click with.
Yeah.
And there have been a few of them. One of them is this duo, the Young Fables. And
The Young Fables.
The Young Fables. And I remember when I first met them and wrote with them, it was like instantaneous. I was like, this is going to work. This is a great relationship. They're both my really good friends, and they're just incredibly talented people. And so a little side note is I don't play an instrument. And so when I write, it's all from my head.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find people when you're in a writing room with them that understand how you work. And I've been in the rooms with a lot of people where they're like, oh, she doesn't play an instrument. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
She's not hip.
But that's not it. Like, I absolutely know what I'm talking about. And, I try to stay with people that are that understand that and then can help me get to the next level of that.
Yeah.
And Laurel and Wes are those people. I can
very
call
cool.
them up and say, hey, I have this idea for a song. I need help with this melody part. Can you help me? And I'll send it to them over text. And within like an hour, they'll send me back something. And we don't even have to be in the same room.
Cool. Very
And they just understand how I work so well. They trust me. I trust them. They have great ideas. I have great, like we work so well together. It just feels effortless. It's just, and we've written some great songs. And I just, that's kind of.
Hey, here's one that was kind of interesting. I was at this thing and no reason to discuss the details of it. But anyway, so I'm walking along and there's this guy there and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Who are you? And he says, Jelly Roll. I think that's his name, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea who it is.
Yeah.
None. I'm like, hey, cool. What's going on? I shake his hand and I'm like, wow, I love your tats. And he's like, I just walk on.
Yeah.
No idea who he is. And when I come home, everybody's like, oh my God. So I happened to be sitting around with his brother one night and just chatting along about his life and so on. And I think he started mostly in rap.
Mm-hmm,
And then he moved to Southern.
Yeah.
And he took off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went home and I listened to one of his songs and I was floored by how beautiful it was. And so for you, have you shifted genres to kind of meet what you think is your market?
Yeah. So I call myself a chameleon writer. So I can write any genre. And what I do is when I get into the room with someone, I usually will, if it's an artist, I will make sure that what they want and the direction they want to go in is at the forefront of what we're writing.
Okay.
And, but I've had success. Like I've had a rock song chart with this band, New Medicine.
New Medicine.
Yeah.
I don't know them.
It's a rock band. And then I also write with the Pentatonics. So my span of writing is like all over the place.
Yeah.
So I try to adapt what I want to do or adjust to what I'm doing based on who is in the room.
But let me detail that, dig in on that a little bit. In a business, in mine, you ultimately you search for a market, and then when you see it, you kind of know it. At least in my experience, and you say, "Oh, I'm going to tighten my audience because I can get my most value out of one genre." And you have not found that per se, or what would be that you consider? The old saying is, if I told the best client, your best client, the one you wished you met every day, who would that be? Or what would that person want to do?
Songwrite. So Diane Warren is like my all-time favorite songwriter in this whole world. And she would be somebody that I would want to write with every single day.
Okay, yeah.
So,
So it's more the writer than per se the performer.
I would say so.
Yeah. Because I remember in that song with Blake Shelton, you were saying it came out and you didn't think it was going to be country. You were like, that wasn't for country. And all of a sudden they're saying, we're going to do country. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I remember I don't remember having a very strong opinion that I loved this song after we wrote it. I remember thinking it was good. But then once Corey recorded the demo of the song and we heard it, like with the instruments and everything, I was like, whoa, this is great. And, I had envisioned in my head having Keith Urban sing it.
Okay.
But
he's kind of famous too.
Yes.
Okay.
But that did not happen. But I'm very happy that Blake did it. I'm very happy how it sounded. And I like crossing genres. I like bringing different elements of music and meshing them together and seeing what you can come up with. Especially if someone says, oh, this is a great country song and I hear it pop, a great song is a great song. So if it can span those different genres, then that's great.
Let's have at it.
Yeah.
Let's have at it.
Yeah.
And now you started your own business eventually.
Yes.
Or when did you establish that?
I started my own publishing company right after my Blake song happened. And because I didn't sign anywhere, I wanted to do it myself. And the problem I had with Nashville was they were very country focused. And I wasn't just a country writer. I was everything. I was pop, rock, whatever it was. And at the time, Universal Nashville didn't talk to Universal LA.
Okay.
You were signed to two different places if that was the case. And I wanted to be with a company that would handle pop, rock, country, jazz, whatever it was. I wanted to do everything. And none of these really focused in on an eclectic writer.
Yeah.
So so I just started my own company, and it's
Scary stuff.
yeah, but luckily I come from very entrepreneurial parents. Entrepreneurial. Yeah.
No, Terapia. Entrepreneurial. Me too. Me too, by the way.
So my mom especially, she ran her own Montessori school for many years and gave me the insight on how to do it and how to approach it. And
So you inherently, or by family, have an entrepreneurial spirit.
yes. And I think that mixed with my determination to want to be successful in this industry led me to now I'm also running West Coast Songwriters organization.
Yeah, I read that, and also did you revive that, or did you somehow pick it up?
I would say revive / picked it up. I joined the organization when I was about 18 years old, and the director at the time, Ian Crombie, really took me under his wing and helped guide me and teach me about the industry and connect me with a lot of great people. And a couple years ago, when I found out that it was maybe not going to make it, they needed somebody to step in and say like, okay, we got to get this going.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
And it's all volunteer. So I volunteered my time and energy and really got a good team. And we're still trying to, obviously, as most nonprofits, we're trying to find financial backers. We're trying to find people to help us, because what this organization does is really teach people about the industry and get their music and into the right hands.
And so gathering up money. And didn't you do that also in Nashville, or somehow get involved in that in Nashville?
With West Coast Songwriters?
With another songwriting association or something I can't quite recall.
I was a member of different organizations out in Nashville, but I was never running any of them.
Okay.
I was just members
of them. This one
them.
was a nonprofit, West Coast, just put your time in.
Yes, West Coast Songwriters, nonprofit. They're a great organization. I'm now running it, and we did our first, the organization has been around since 1979.
Okay.
And we're the longest running music conference in the country.
Really?
Yeah. So we're going on our 45th music conference this year.
Under what name again?
West Coast Songwriters.
West Coast Songwriters.
Yeah.
Been around for 45 years.
Well, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. 45th conference. Yeah.
A long time.
So I don't math. So 45.
Okay.
But it's, we're doing it at the Los Angeles College of Music in Pasadena.
Wow.
Yeah. And you should come.
I will. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I really would.
And it's just, we had our first one in Southern California last year. Normally they've been in the Bay Area.
Okay.
But as reigning president, I decided to bring it to Southern California, which is where all the action is happening with music.
And once again, you're pounding the pavement.
Yeah.
Which, I would. I'd love to have you as a salesperson. Yeah. I'm telling you. Oh, I think we'd make some money.
I'm all about it. I'm ready. So
well, good.
Yeah. So, so it's going to be there in October. So we're going to have it there.
October when?
17th weekend, whatever that weekend
October
is.
17th.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's going to be in LA.
Yep.
And where did you say it was again?
Los Angeles College of Music.
Los Angeles College of Music.
Yeah. But if you go to westcoastsongwriters.org,
okay.
We're a membership-based program, and we basically, like I said, we have monthly songwriter evaluations where we'll get like a hit writer like myself or somebody notable in the industry to come and listen to our members' songs and give feedback. We have a song contest that's coming up. We have showcase performances that we do to help people. We have informational Zooms where you can log in and learn about the industry, learn about different aspects like publishing or admin or whatever. And
And when you see somebody, how quickly can you tell if somebody's good at being a songwriter? Like in sports, you can say, "Oh, that person's good."
Yeah, probably within a couple songs, listening to a couple of their songs. Because if you listen to one, it could just be a fluke.
Yeah.
But if you listen to a few of them and you're like, okay, that's pretty consistent, then you know.
And can you, as an association or organization, can you then promote that person? Yeah. Okay, so you're pushing the ball for them.
Yeah.
Now, in your business, Are you working on? Do you do hourly rate or per diem, and then you receive some form of, I guess, royalties?
It's all royalty based.
It is.
Yeah, it's all royalty based.
So you're-
Fortunately and unfortunately, I guess.
Yeah, you got to put a lot of. So when you're looking at somebody, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put my time into this.
Yeah.
Can it bring me some gain?
Yeah.
What's the success rate on that?
Not great.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
here,
it takes
here.
a lot of unpaid hours to get just a little bit
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
And it's not very financially rewarding, but
Mhm.
I guess if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life, or however that quote goes.
Yeah.
So,
Listen, you're a young woman, and most people it just takes a long time.
yeah.
I think I hit my stride 48,
Okay.
49, where all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, it isn't, well, obviously you want money,
Yeah.
and I was increasing my money, but all of a sudden it became something that the entity was bringing in
Mhm.
rather than just me,
Mhm.
and I think for you, I think one of the goals would be to scale that up to where you are, there's a machine churning under you
Yeah.
where it in itself is an asset,
Yeah.
aside from just you.
Right.
But I think when you're newer, like you said, you're selling you,
Mhm.
girl. Get
Yeah.
up and sell,
Yeah.
And I think selling is just so cool. I love people who sell because we kind of live in the same brain,
Yeah.
and you just got to do it. When I train new salespeople, I think one of the things they don't realize is selling is not off the cuff. There is a serious way to do it. And, if you just come winging all the time, somebody else is on the other side and they are not winging,
Mhm.
and they're winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't win. I'm sure younger folks, you can pick them out right away. The youngins who
Yeah.
don't quite know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just run past them.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of my way. So listen, we're going to wrap up, and it's really cool talking to you. But let's finish with, what is it within you that you think really just made you do it? I mean, at a more existential level, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
There's something that made you go, I want to do this, and there's inner.
Yeah. Well, I've been writing since I was 10 years old, and I consider it like breathing. Like,
Mhm.
I have to do it. If I wake up and I'm like, I'm not going to write a song today, that doesn't matter. Like, whatever the universe, God, whatever it is coming through me, I have to write it. I have to write.
So you're
And-
writing every day just because you got to.
Yeah, because
You
I'll
got
get an
no choice.
idea, and it's not just, I don't just write songs, I write everything. And like, I have a screenplay I'm working on. I have, I've written poetry, I've written short stories, I've written children's books, like all of this stuff. I have to do it.
Yeah.
It's not a choice. I have to.
I read that people who do something on their own, they can't not do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they, and that was similar with me. I just couldn't not do it. And it just, I don't know why. And there was one time in my life where I was driving across the bridge here, and I was going to get something done, a business deal had me really uptight, anxious, high anxiety. And I'm going across the bridge, and I think to myself, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would put yourself through this? And my answer was, because I am who I am, and for some damn reason I'm on this bridge, nervous as hell, so I had no choice.
Because you had to, yeah.
I had no choice.
Yeah.
Well, listen, what would you like to say to our audience as you leave? Number one, of course, just like to get you out there, but any way you'd like to conclude.
Basically just don't ever give up. I know it sounds really cheesy, but
it is.
Just keep going. If it's something you have to do, if you have that where you wake up and you have to do it, do it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true with everybody.
Yeah.
I really do. Well, not everybody.
Yeah.
But I do. It would be so sad to be, for lack of a better term, internally dead.
Yeah.
And you're 40.
Well, my sister is my best friend, and she is a big inspiration of don't ever give up. And she's gone through some struggles in her life, and just seeing her every day. And I'm like, if she can do this with what she's gone through, I can keep going and I can do this. So yeah.
Well, listen, Jennifer, you're a really pleasant person to talk to.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you just really are, you know, and I do. I'm so thankful that you came on. I'm
Thank
so
you for
thankful that
having
you
me.
told us your story. And I think it inspires, I hope it will inspire some women to get out there and, you know,
Yeah.
go punch out. I got 5 girls. I'm always telling them,
Yeah.
swing away, girl.
Love
swing
that.
away. You know?
Love that.
So anyway, well, thanks so much.
Thank you, Mark. It was
And
so
you have a
great being
day.
here.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Mark Howley Show. If you found this story as intriguing as we did, give us a like, share the episode, and subscribe at The Mark Howley Show. New episodes every other Friday. Adios.